So in all honesty, I've really been excited to check out this film, and I think the presentation at San Diego Comic-Con of 2022 really got me hyped. But now that I had a chance to see it, I got a lot of mixed thoughts, and I'm going to break it all down. So yep, we're going to get into my review of the new film, Shazam, Fury of the Gods. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. As today we're going to be reviewing the new film Shazam, Fury of the Gods, coming to theaters March 17th. So yeah, this is Shazam 2 essentially. As I mentioned in the opening, you know, the presentation at San Diego Comic-Con of 2022 was just spectacular. It was this, and then it was Black Adam, and I'm sure you all saw the viral videos that came out about them. But it was really a tone setter of just amazing news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con that day. But I gotta give credit where it's due. Zach and the Shazam cast coming out really bringing the energy, really utilizing Hall H and the stage and this panoramic screen that they had. I mean, they made it so amazing. And then the trailer was dope. And, you know, I loved the first one, and I was absolutely invested into the second. Now, the adult in me, and why I was invested, is you start to let all the news, all the politics, and everything that James Gunn is doing with the DCU, and it really tanks your mind in terms of how you receive this film, because everything that they do in this film and anything in the DC extended universe, you start to think like, well, how will it connect? What's next? And all these sorts of different things. Obviously, we know that Shazam is completely obsessed with the Justice League, whether it's Superman, but in this case, it's Wonder Woman. And so you start to think like, okay, how is this all going to work towards the big picture here? And now with James Gunn involved, we all know that a lot of plans have been trashed, including Black Adam, which is obviously the collision course of the two that we all knew was going to come down the line at some point. And with Black Adam, with The Rock, you know, obviously making his claim to wanting to battle Superman with his end credit trailer, you started to think, well, where does that leave Shazam? And well, with that movie now looking like it doesn't have a destination, and with Henry Cavill out now, it's still a lot of like, well, what is the purpose of this film? So yeah, the adult in me definitely struggled with the direction of what was to make with this film, because in all honesty, if they're not going to invest in the film, why should I? However, the kid in me enjoyed this film as much as I enjoyed the first one, because to be honest, and I think the easiest way to kind of understand this film is for all the folks who grew up watching Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, whatever it may be, those television movies that we got, it felt like one of them, but just with a bigger budget. Like, I would be remiss if I didn't say I felt like I was watching Spy Kids with just a lot more money, and with, you know, IP that's way bigger than anything that they've ever done. But nonetheless, I will say, like, it did really take me a while. I say about 30 to 40 minutes to really understand the toning and the direction of this film. So with that, it took me a while before the first joke sort of landed for me too. So I was kind of just like, whatever. And there's no real stakes here, because with all the other DCU films, you know, it's dark, it's gritty. This is very much light, funny, comedic, very satirical. Nothing about this film is serious. And like, if you wear your adult lenses while watching this, you're gonna find flaws left and right. But this film is clearly directed for kids. It's definitely, that's their audience, that's their target audience, and they never deviated from that at all. In both the adult versions of these characters and the kid versions, I think the cohesiveness between the set of actors really worked. And I definitely got to tip my hat to the adult folks, because like, to act like a kid in the way they did, they never deviated from it at all. So I thought the continuity was really good there. But again, while some of the jokes were for all ages, there were some that kind of were for adults. But on the contrary, some of the adults that were for kids, I don't think some of the adults would pick up on too, because there were some things that was just kind of corny. Yeah, they were definitely really going at some of the pop culture trendy things that, depending on your age, may be a little bit outside of your time. But even with that too, there's tons of pop culture references. There are some Easter eggs. They are not shy about mentioning other properties under the Warner Media Discovery banner. There's an Annabelle cameo, which I'm sure you saw in the trailer. I cannot believe that they spoiled one of the biggest cameos of this film, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But but there's definitely nods to other IPs under the Warner Media Discovery umbrella as well too. But other than that, I mean, the action was okay. The jokes were okay. And it's a lot of the same. I don't think this film did anything to really move the needle from the first. I don't think it moved the needle from anything in the DCU. I think it just has its identity. It stuck to that, and it just continued the fun. The sound was pretty, interesting. I thought the sound mixing was done well. But other than that, I think there's really about the messages in this, and I think that Billy dealing with abandonment and really trying to keep the team together because this is the only family he has was really a big theme in all of this. And I think like while we got more background information about the powers and how the gods were involved and how the human wizards were advocates for this power and the protection of the power, that creates the stakes here in terms of like, good versus evil. But other than that, I mean, it was just fun. There was things that were so silly. Like there's a particular moment in this film where like Skittles, Taste the Rainbow, I literally saved the day. And they absolutely said that line. And I just bust out laughing because I was like, oh, they went there and they didn't care. So this film was completely unapologetic for how silly it was and then embraced it the entire time, which for me, again, by the first 30 minutes of the film, I was like, all right, what's this film going to be? Is it serious? Oh, okay, it's not serious. It's kind of comedic. Yeah, the first was comedic, so cool. They're going to keep with that? All right, cool. And it just really took a long time for it to set for me, but truly this film knew exactly what it was from the beginning to the end. But yeah, like I said, tons of pop culture references, even some Game of Thrones ones as well, as I say, things under the Warner Media Discovery umbrella. And even with that and, the threat of the Daughters of Atlas, they were cool, but like, not a huge threat, just something to kind of give our heroes something to do in the meantime. And honestly, this felt like, as I mentioned, Nickelodeon, but it definitely feels like a live action cartoon with just a big budget. Like everything about the build, everything about the plot and everything is, I just thought it felt like a live action cartoon to sorts. But yeah, talking about some of the things now with the end of this film, there's a mid-credit scene, there's a post-credit scene. And, it's all about the connectivity when it comes to these movies and whatnot. And unfortunately, there was one of the post-credit scenes was exactly what it needed to be. Unfortunately, it seems that it's going to be all for nothing with James Gunn now, coming in and dissolving all of the plans here. But definitely stick through to the both of them. And then the things I mentioned, it's not a spoiler. And if you're watching this and you think it's a spoiler and you don't watch the trailer, that's not my fault. But if it's out there, then it's out there. Wonder Woman being in this film and that being spoiled is mind-blowing, because I will say, even with me knowing that Wonder Woman was going to make an appearance, and I don't mean just a glimpse of Wonder Woman, I mean like, yeah, Gal Gadot was in the film. I really did think that her scene was still very much exciting and cool, and understanding her relevance to it. I mean, yes, sort of foreshadowed a little bit, but I thought they still did it in a tasteful, enjoyable way to really bring excitement to the DCU for nothing. And I think even with that, I'm still like excited for the Flash, considering what we know, and how the Flash is really going to be the turning point in all of this. But I think like still like for what it's worth, what was going on before this, whether you want to call it the Snyderverse and whatnot, I think there still was a lot of potential they could have did, and this definitely was a film that definitely had its excitement, because again, one of these post-credit scenes adds a connectivity that would be very intriguing. And I will say, without trying to spoil this, that by a recent other film, and the things I really liked about that recent other film, and that was going to be a little bit of the involvement and of the connectivity, I was intrigued here. But whether you can read between the lines and understand what I'm talking about here, we know that there was obviously two things that had to have a collision course with one another. And who knows what happens now, but I will say that this film was definitely taking a step forward where that other film didn't. And it still would have brought a bunch of like, well, when is this all going to come together? But I don't know. But nonetheless, I think that, if you love the first one, you should enjoy this one. It is a lot of the same. I absolutely think this film is completely family friendly. The demo is definitely for the young adult audience. As I said, a lot of the references, a lot of just the toning is really, really for the kids. But I think the adults can enjoy it because we always like a good superhero film. And I think Zach just does a fantastic job as Shazam. And embraces that inner child in himself that really makes like the continuity between the young actor himself and everybody else involved, Megan Good and all of them. I thought they just really just brought it back and just kept the energy going. So, but yeah, check it out. Shazam! Fury of Gods, or Shazam 2, whatever you want to call it, in theaters March 17th. Jump in the comments, folks. Let me know your thoughts about it when you do. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.
Big gold bell.